Okay everybody, so went out to the spillway today after dropping the kids off at school. It was busted. Lots of snook, tarpon, jack, everything was going crazy. The mullet run's on in Florida right now. I'm on the Treasure Coast and I can't tell you how many mullet are out there. But the mullet run is great for fishing. So today, didn't do the best at the spillway. I usually do a lot better. A lot of times I'll use live bait out there just because I want to get out there quick, get some quick action and then leave. So I didn't have live bait today. Not that I couldn't have stopped and caught some, but I wanted to give the artificials a try. A lot of guys were throwing big stuff out there today. 3D minnows, topwater. Topwater was getting hit, but they weren't really hooking up. It was mostly tarpon and ladyfish hitting topwater. When I'm not catching anything on larger profile baits, I like to switch it up and I mix it up with a little smaller profile baits. I didn't have any of these on me, but these are my favorite. These are Berkley Power Bait minnows. I catch trout on them, redfish, snook, flounder. I catch everything on this lure. This is my go-to all-time favorite lure, or plastic bait, whatever you want to call them. Everything's a lure if it doesn't swim on its own. I have also used these guys in the past. You saw them on my trout video if you watched the first video I posted. These are Berkley Power Bait swim baits. They have this color, they have solid white, and they have a clear one with silver flake and chartreuse tail. Those, I had 5 of them. They utterly got destroyed the last trip out. Between pinfish ripping the tails off, I caught a sail cat on one and he just ripped it apart. And I caught, if you watch the video there, I probably put 25 trout in the boat on that, and that was only half the trip because my camera died and I still have not bought new batteries. I'm a failure. Another one I like to go to when smaller profile, catch me smaller fish but they're still hitting finger mullet and stuff bigger. Crush City by Rapala. It's a great color, great for darker water, and when it's a little more light out you can get a good silhouette. It'll cast that shadow that really triggers the bite. Didn't use one of these guys today. Berkley Jerk Shad. This guy kills it. I've caught flounder, snook, snapper, grouper, jack. Every species I've caught on live bait I've caught on this. Every species I've caught on live bait I've pretty much caught on Berkley as well. People rag on me for using Berkley. They you know, it's a cheap bait, but they put a lot of time and money and effort and making these species specific for targeting. And if I'm going out to fish, I'm going out to catch. So you go with what you know and how you can work it. Sometimes I like to go baller on a budget and I buy some baits off the internet. I try to support local fish shops, but they don't always have the best selection, and I like to try new things from time to time. Temu is my new favorite, and it's a love-hate relationship because I spend way too much money on here. I buy these. They have a bunch of different names. I'm not even sure it's the same, probably all the same company, just selling under different names. Tiny little jerk shad. They're clear. They work great at night. They look like a glass minnow. You hit the top of the water. Trout, snook, ladyfish, moonfish even I've caught on there. Not cheap. I think I paid 88 cents for that bag, and I bought like 10 bags of these. Then Temu, with their robot brain, have been tracking me for a while, I guess, because most of what comes up on my selections or suggested items are these guys, and well, it's really all fishing now, but I love these guys. Great looking bait. Just a soft lure, warm. All the writing's in Chinese, but these are, well, you probably can't see better on the back. Fantastic baits, not durable whatsoever. If there's pinfish or blowfish around, that tail's coming off first cast, almost guaranteed. I have them rigged up with a Texas rig or Texas eye jig head. Get a lot of good action on these. Slow jig, bring it up, let it work its way back down. drives all the fish nuts. Caught small snook, big snook, flounder, snapper, trout. I catch trout everywhere I go now. It's awesome. Yeah, it's a great bait, cheap, works. Another Temu setup, because I ran out of power baits one day. This is what I had in my bag. Same concept as the power bait minnow, definitely not as durable. They come apart very, just a poor mold, but they work. Good silhouette. I don't have dolphin shaped tail, could be like that, but they have the tail out flat. The eyes come off pretty quick, but really you're just looking for the action. It's got great action because it's very soft. Not great durability. Actually, this one, and quality control, it's Temu, paid 94 cents for, what is it, 10 of these, and I got 10 bags of these too, just for when I run out of other stuff on the boat. That one came without a tail. Another go-to. I've been using these guys for 20 years, probably since they came out. DOA shrimp. Can't tell you how easy these things are to use. A lot of people say, oh, I never catch anything on DOA shrimp. If you're not catching stuff on them, you're not using them right. Downside, the tails do get bit off sometimes. You can find cheap versions of knockoffs. I like DOA brand. I like the company. They've been around for a while. Some of them they have rattles in them. You can pair it up with Cajun Thunder or a Deadly Rig, or they're called all kinds of different things. It's basically a slide bobber where you have a wire, the bobber slides up and down, it's got a weight on one end so it always presents right. Makes a lot of noise, a couple metals and plastic beads on there. Depending on how deep you're fishing, I usually try to bounce this maybe at a 2-foot depth for trout or redfish. Redfish you can go a little shorter, I just free line it. If I'm trying to do trout, I usually catch bigger trout in, I'd say 3 to 6 feet, and you want to kind of gauge it based off of the top of the grass that you're fishing over, if you're fishing grass. Otherwise, I'd say 2 foot's usually a pretty safe bet. If I'm fishing 6 feet, usually the grass is between 2 to 3 feet tall, and I'll fish it right around 3 feet and meet it right in the middle. You work them slow. If you're not catching fish, what you want to do, you're either fishing where there are no fish, which happens a lot, or you're not working this right. When you cast it out, you let it sink, and when it sinks, they like to spin, so they spiral down, which is cool, fun to watch. When you're twitching, you do a short twitch. A lot of people like to give it like you're fishing for bass. You don't do a long twitch. You want to move it like a fish, or like a shrimp would move in the water. So when you twitch it, you go, I usually double tap it, and you want to get it to come up and let it float back down. Reel your line up a little bit, twitch, and let it float back down. They usually hit it on the down, and simple to use, long time go-to bait. I have recently broadened my palette for artificials. Been trying to get back to my roots a little bit, I guess you could say. Voodoo shrimp. These are super popular baits now. Saw a lot of people using them on the videos I watch, and seen people use them out in the river. I got 2 casts on mine, and again, fantastic bait. Works great. Problem is, not very durable. Really cool rig. It's got like this anvil head, jig head, and the shrimp stretches over it. So I don't know, I haven't seen where you can buy replacements for it. There's the body. Weird jig head. But it does give a great presentation when it goes back down, because it presents just like that. That's your natural presentation in the water. Real shrimp would be when it's landing, and you work it the same way you work the DOA. It has a little more weight to it, so it sinks a little faster. You can get to deeper, but again, I really have problems with the pinfish ripping apart not durable baits. I'll put that back together in a minute. Yeah, so I think, what did I pay for that? I think I paid $6 or $7 for 2 of them, and I lost the first one on the first cast. It got bit in half. No blowfish. It was probably a pinfish or a snapper. Just came up. If you look, the DOA shrimp has a very solid body design and pretty rigid, but it works. You get a little more action out of these to trigger bites. They're jointed, but they're jointed, and it's just a thin, flat piece of plastic between there. I mean, I feel like I would snap that if I pulled any harder. Great action, very floppy, moves a lot. Has the same legs as the DOA. This one even goes as far as to put antennas on it. And in my experience, they just kind of bend up in the line sometimes when you're casting, or they catch a lot of the grass because they're wiggling around, and then there's little strings of grass floating in the water. It'll get wedged in there, and fish for some reason don't like to bite stuff with grass in it. Moving on again, I didn't get to try this one out, but it looks fantastic. Probably would have done pretty good today with all the finger mullet run. This is a Voodoo mullet. I have high hopes for this. It looks great. The mullet run's on right now. I like the painting on the top of it. It's got a little bit of a Cryptek looking pattern. Swim bait, crazy action. It seems like they reinforced this one a little bit with some fiber in between. I definitely will probably try it out in the morning. I'm not gonna lie. I gotta go up to Fellsmere, help my parents out on the farm, and I'll definitely work it for bass, and I'm gonna try it out on the way up there. I'll swing by the spillway just to throw this lure. I'm pretty excited about this one. That pretty much covers my newer selection. A newer bait that's not been out super long that I have fallen in love with is my all-time favorite go-to, the Z-Man Diesel Minnow. There's videos all over about these guys. I'm not sponsored by them. They don't pay me anything to rant and rave about them enough. Solid work, Z-Man. Love this minnow. This one is the Purple Demon. Great for darker water. Tarpon have been smashing these lately. I'll see if I can get some of that on video. Spillway action was good. The reason I love these so much is the action on them is phenomenal. Yeah, it's a great swim bait, paddle tail. They stretch. And with that stretchiness, it's the Elastec design, polymer, whatever they use, I don't know. It's magic. Pinfish, for some reason, cannot bite the tails off of these. I've caught bass on them, I've caught peacocks on them, and peacocks have really rough lips. If you never caught one, they just destroy your thumbs. Mayan cichlids with pretty sharp teeth. Snapper, nothing so far has really destroyed it. Even the barracuda, he put a couple holes through it, but it didn't affect the action. It didn't affect the hook hold or anything like that. The only downside of these things is they're pretty jig head specific on what they'll stay on. They're kind of hard to get mounted, but once they mount, they're pretty solid mount. They're not coming off. Love them. I have a few different colors for the paddle tails. Where's my other one at? I have a silver flake. This one's called Opening Night. I use these when the water's clear. Try to kind of match the watercolor. It's got a white strip on top, silver flake, solid bait. Also, all their baits, Elastec. This Elastec stuff is super stretchy, and I love it. It just lasts forever. Stays on my hooks. I get great action. I ran out of DOA shrimp the other day because that's just how hard they get hit. And I had picked these up at the store. They're scented. They're called scented shrimps. This is root beer and gold. Z-Man nailed it again. Problem was, could not keep them on the jig head. that was my fault. That's not a Z-Man thing. That was I'm cheap, and I bought these $2 jig heads with 4 hook sets. Best one I've used for the shrimp was actually the same one that comes in the Berkley Minnow pack. It has a wire. Let's get that off there. It's a wire hook on there, top and bottom. It really grips the shrimp well. A little paint on it. And you can see that, but that really digs in. They didn't come off too easy, and once I switched over to those, it was just money from there. They couldn't get enough of them. I don't know what they're scenting it with, but it's fish crack, guys. And the fish, when they bite, they stay hooked up. Pinfish, paddle, blowfish, puffers, they weren't tearing up the tails on them, so they lasted a while, and I hate wasting time re-rigging. Another good one that I like is the Beer Run. It's got some gold flake with a white top in it. It's the scented paddlers. The same shrimp. It smells the same as the shrimp. They have these jointed though, so you get a lot more side-to-side action. The tails go nuts. It's not a big paddle on it. Works better for. I like it more for when you're doing a twitch to it. But clear water. They kind of. I like to work them like you'd see the moharas running on the bottom. They I use them for redfish and trout. You can pull them up off the bottom. I actually got a bonefish on these the other day too. If you watch the other, not on video, if you check out the Insta, I posted a bonefish I caught on fly. Didn't have my GoPro on me, but I always have my rods in my car. So if I'm driving somewhere and I'm like, hey, that looks like it might hold fish, I'm going to pull over and we're going to probably get in trouble. But I'll try to get more of that on video for you. These are the jerk shads from Z-Man. Huge fan of these guys. The trout were tearing them up the other day. This color is the Sexy Mullet. Sometimes what I do with these is I'll nip the tails off because this is really just extra, but they work great. I do a slow, steady retrieve, or sometimes I'll work them faster. If the fish bite is on, I give them a lot of twitching, and it looks like they're in distress. And if you get a good sight cast on something, I get a lot of reactions within, I'd say, a probably 2-foot radius. So if you can get it within 2 feet of a fish it's already hitting, you got a solid chance of hooking up. And something I didn't know Z-Man made was a trout trick. I never seen them before. I was actually going bass fishing for the video, and I went to shout out to North Fork Tackle Shop in Port St. Lucie. They didn't have shiners because the kids took them all for the spillway because it's been raining a lot. People take the shiners to the spillway and just slaughter snook. It's a lot of fun. This is Trout Magic. It also is Elastec. I love the green and red color to it. It's got red flake and an opaque bottom to it. It's kind of a pintail. It's got this weight at the back almost. It works kind of like a flute tail. I don't know what the deal with that is. They all seem to have it. I don't think it's a defect. Not sure what the purpose is, but it makes them. Nope, I guess it's just a defect in this one. It's a clear hole. But that one's not flawed. There was a few of them with this bubble in it, but it seemed to give it more action where it was floating a little better at the back end. And I really like that because they're super soft when they're sinking. That floating back end, sometimes I'll take a skewer and I'll poke it into the back end. You don't lose any action that way, but the wood floats, so it keeps your tail up out of the bottom. So when you're working it low, it looks like a bait fish working in the mud or the grass, and they usually just get smashed. I caught peacocks on them. I've caught largemouths on them. I've not gotten to take them out in the salt water yet, but I was using a similar color pattern. Actually, it's over here. This is Bass Assassin. It's a paddle tail bait. they work good. It's a similar color pattern, red flake, green on top, clear, opaque at the bottom, but they snap easy. They get the tails bit off by pinfish. I mean, it's just real brittle. It's not that I've had them a long time. It's just the material that they're made out of. They're disposable baits. So I paid $5 for that. I paid $5.99 for these. Definitely worth the extra $1. Because they don't break. And finally, something I like to have around is Gulp, Berkley Gulp. It's another love-hate relationship because I love to use them, but I hate the fact that I always end up catching a catfish, and it's probably where I'm fishing and how I work the baits, but these guys crush the snook. It's the mullet run. This is their mullet. They call it the Paddle Shad Arkansas Glow. The scent carries well. As long as you keep them from drying out, they get great action. They're relatively durable. A lot of times you reel them in, you'll have chunks missing because blowfish also love them. But when nothing else works, sometimes I'll switch to Gulp, and we'll get lucky. We'll go over those another day. Tight lines and good times. Have a great day, guys. Hey, one more thing before I head into work. Like and subscribe, please. I have lots of stuff I'm going to be giving away once I hit 500 subscribers. I have tackle boxes, fishing rods, fishing reels, charter trips, custom tied flies that are functional works of art. All you gotta do, watch videos, like and subscribe. Who doesn't like free stuff for watching videos? Y'all stay safe, and I'll see you on the water.